everyone, this is Michelle Laura Romero with Rethinking Life. Today I have the pleasure of having James Cherry in my company, and we're going to talk to James about opportunities with a debt-free lifestyle. I wanted to collaborate with James basically because James, you inspired my journey. When I was starting out to be debt-free, I heard that you were, and just to know that one of your peers is debt-free can give you that little bit of confidence and push. So tell us what inspired you and what led you to begin your debt-free journey.
Well, when I was younger, all I heard was, you have to have credit. I heard it over and over again, but no one explained the use of credit, how damaging it could be to your life, or how to return from that damaging situation. I went through life, I built my credit, I misused it, I wound up in bad situations. Once I got so deep in, it really didn't occur to me that I needed to go back and fix it. I moved to a cycle of, well, I'm already here, not to take my money and put it towards that credit and fixing that situation, but instead, I'll go ahead and have the things that I desire.
Mm-hmm.
I later realized that was the wrong move. I had no one to tell me, I had no one to show me, and it appeared that no one around me had any idea on what to do about it.
Yeah, you're basically just doing what everyone else does. You know that something's not right, but
Yes.
you're not exactly sure how to get out of it, and so you know, not to put words in your mouth, but you basically soothe that with purchasing things that temporarily make you happy and that you really don't need, I'm
Yes.
sure. I mean, that's the big thing is most people don't need the things that they're buying. They bring that temporary happiness, and then there's probably guilt and so many other things that go along with it, but you just keep trudging along. No matter how much you make, it's that endless cycle of, I'll just continue to spend it.
Yeah, you're lost in the fray.
Mm-hmm.
You're lost in the fray. You said it greatly with guilt. It comes over you, and you don't have any clue the effect that it has on you. The effect that you won't realize till later in life.
Yeah, when you can't retire. When there's so many people out there that can't retire, that unfortunately have to work until the day that they pass, or live extremely poorly in their later years. When if you take a little bit of time, I'm not sure how long it took you to get out of debt, we could talk about that, but I think people don't really understand how quickly you can get out of debt and put yourself in a great position. I would say within a year or two, if you really buckle down. How long did it take you?
It actually took me a lot longer than a year or two.
Okay.
It was a process, and I'd say it probably took me 10 years.
Wow, okay.
And it's not because the opportunity wasn't there. It was a lack of knowledge, a lack of experience, and a lack of desire.
Mm-hmm.
I just didn't realize, how necessary it was. And I think the idea of being out of debt isn't necessarily a constant, but it's an opportunity to know that you can get there and then be in a place of control.
Yes.
Control the flow of your money. Control the amount of debt that you have. I mean, I think that's what it is. When you get there the first time, you know you can return. It's about having the formula.
So were there people that you followed? Were there books that you read? Was there one person that you met in your life that was somebody that you looked up to that made you feel like it was possible? How exactly did you begin?
No one that I knew.
No one that you knew.
And no books. It was
Wow.
life and it was situation. Well, I won't say no books. There was something later. But it was just life. It was the situation I created for myself, and I didn't want to remain in it.
Okay. So you basically, like some people, they need to have a heart attack before they start eating healthy. There was that point in your life where you were just sick of spinning your wheels and you decided to change.
Yes, it was a catalyst.
Okay.
Absolutely.
Perfect. All right. In my research, it seems to be there are consistent underlying thought processes about money within the middle class and the poor. things that we are taught on a very subtle level to believe that a lot of times keep us down. And first off, I just think these things are so interesting. The first is that money is a taboo subject. Okay, we don't talk about it in school. I mean, you may have a counseling class, but they certainly don't teach personal finances. You don't know how much your parents make. You don't know how much how they pay the bills. And to me, that's been one of the trickiest things because I'm doing things differently with my children now. And I actually don't have a problem sharing with them how much I make. It
Yes.
actually felt really uncomfortable because we're just like, it's not your concern. That's that whole thing. But how will they know what to strive for? How will they know what this level of income can get you in a debt-free lifestyle if you don't share that information with them so that they know if they're kind of hitting the bar where they want to even. Another one is that money is limited, which is a huge fallacy because there's enough money for everyone. There's no limitation. Money is abundant. I know you've heard these. Money is evil.
Yes, of course.
Rich people are greedy.
Yes, of
Yes,
course.
we've heard all these. And then the rich get richer and the poor get poorer.
Absolutely.
But I promise you that, this is something that I try to instill in my children or anyone that I'm talking to about getting out of debt is we all, unless you're talking about very few people, we all leave the house from our parents with nothing. We leave with nothing. So we all have the same opportunity to grow from there. The only thing that is really setting us apart is our belief about our opportunities and everything else.
Yes.
So you did discuss a little bit about your money growing up. Was there anything that you wanted to add to that?
Well, simply, again, the things you just touched on. No one talked about it. I truly believe that my parent had no real knowledge about money. It wasn't discussed, so I had no foundation to grow from in that regard. I just know I didn't want to remain in the situation I had been in as a youth.
And then because you are a father, you also want to do better for your family, I'm sure,
Absolutely.
because the more that we can get out of our situations and teach them, the better that it may be cliche, but the better the entire world will be because of that. Because then we can give back. We can truly give back to people. So I think that people need to know because they feel helpless in their personal finances, or there's so many people that just have their heads buried in the sand and they really don't want to address it. But how exactly, some practical information for everyone about how you accomplish this.
Okay, can I talk about part of the catalyst to that?
Yes, definitely.
I basically, again, had created a bunch of debt for myself. I was living in an apartment situation. I was getting older. I didn't feel exactly like a grown-up should, being in that situation. And I felt like I had more money going out than coming in. It's a situation that can easily spiral out of control. And I wanted to rise above it. So I started seeking out information. I started using some of the tools that were readily available, YouTube, the internet. I just started studying, trying to find out about money and the basics and how to get out of debt. And then I came across audio CD.
Okay.
And the audio CD the gentleman talked about his life experience and, buying lavish things and how they were so spectacular in the beginning. But shortly after that, the people around him, the people that he was looking to impress, would just say, "Oh, that's just so-and-so with their fancy car." It wasn't such a big deal anymore. Spending out all this money to have these fancy things, more or less to impress others, but them being impressed was very short-lived.
Mm-hmm.
Talked about his journey, talked about getting out of debt, and the one thing that really struck a chord with me was the method of snowballing your money towards your debts. You take your extra money and you apply it to your smallest debt until it's paid off, and then you can take the money that was the original payment for that debt plus that extra debt and move it to the next lowest item.
Mm-hmm.
And you continue and continue until you pay them all off, effectively supercharging the speed at which each additional item is paid.
As well as feeling progress that you can check that debt off of your list because it's gone. And so you can feel like you're actually accomplishing something versus maybe paying an extra $10 to each one of your debts, and then it feels like you're not getting anywhere.
See, you're getting in my mind right there. And that's the whole thing. It's the smallest one, the smallest little thing to get those endorphins going. You pay off that small debt, it could be $50 or $80, you feel a sense of pride inside. That is it. There's no denying it. You feel great. Your energy has changed. You want to tell people about it. The smallest thing.
Mm-hmm. And also, for me, when I was doing it, it makes you want to accelerate that. Like anything you can do, however you can trim your budget, however, whatever, if you can sell something, if you can work a few more hours,
Exactly.
it really does get the endorphins going. That's a
it.
great way to put it.
It's absolutely the way. I get chills right now just talking about it.
And I think it's so important because even, for you to say that you were so excited about it and that you can share it, not everyone, when you're paying off your debt, is so excited for you because they, again, don't want to address it or don't see how it's possible for them. So, just one of those things. But as long as you can be excited for yourself and
being excited for yourself is the key thing. And you have to realize that some people are not going to like or appreciate what you're sharing with them. It may just because it's opposite of their situation or what they think is their ability. You can't look to, please everyone with what you're doing. Some may even call you a braggart. But the reality is, if you can move one additional person towards that situation, you've touched someone, whether it's intentional or unintentional.
that's true. So because of this debt-freeness that you are experiencing, what else has changed in your life? I guarantee that you're looking at everything differently. It's like you have new possibilities.
Well, you know what? I see things differently. I don't know if it's so much on the surface that I recognize it, but it's about, a number of things, whether it's being able to go on vacation, changing the way you eat, just your energy when you wake up in the morning. If you're debt-free and you're going to a job, which I do, I am by no means wealthy, you can see it differently. You can perform your job better. You don't feel enslaved within that situation. I mean, the reality is you're trading your time for money.
Yes.
You're trading your time for your money. How valuable is your time? And is it worth it for you to sell your time and give away your money to someone else? It's quite the question that you have to ask yourself within.
So, building on top of that, what opportunities, I know you're getting into some other things, what opportunities have come because of this?
Well, for one, I was able to, like I say, purchase my home cash. It's not a large home, but I was able to purchase that cash. And I've since then been able to buy additional property and do some things with it. And I'm still, researching what's the next step, but it's just moving me in a different direction entirely.
Yes. And I am not free of a mortgage like you are, but that is so inspirational, and I'm almost there. I'm getting there, and it just keeps pushing you forward.
Absolutely.
It really does.
Absolutely. It's the thought of what's next.
Yes.
It really drives you. What happens if you don't have a mortgage?
Mm-hmm.
Everything changes. You are virtually wealthy. If you think about the amount of money that you spend for a mortgage and the length of time that it takes, imagine that money going into your bank account and being able to apply it to something else.
Mm-hmm. Just looking at the fact that I'm paying over $600 a month in interest for my mortgage
Exactly.
drives me, because that money should be going towards something, an asset that I can build for my family, not to make someone else wealthy. So that's something to think about.
It's funny we say that because, in turn, you move into that situation where you're the one collecting the interest. You're collecting the extra money. But that's just the way the economic system runs.
Mm-hmm.
There are people who provide things and people who buy things, right? Consumers. It's the way it goes. But you have to choose which side of that you're going to be on. It's always going to be that way.
Yes. And providing a service is valuable.
Yes, absolutely.
So, going back to the parenting thing, I'm sure I've experienced the same sort of things. Like, how exactly do you teach your kids now that you are debt free? How are you instilling different things in your family, and how do you discuss money with your family? And we want to know a little more about that, because it's uncharted territory for most people.
Okay, you know what? I have to kind of say it's wildly uncharted for me. It's a process, and I'm still within it. When I started this journey, obviously I didn't know where I was headed. I didn't know what the result would be, so I couldn't exactly relay that information to my children with some certainty. I speak to them now about how I feel, about the opportunity to explore life a little more, and I try to encourage them to pay attention to that. I think for new parents, it's important to have their children save for things, whether it's for allowance for helping clean the house. I think it begins at a very young age. It has to be, in their primary years. I think that's the key thing. As for myself and the present, I just relay the information. I try to involve my kids within the process of what I'm doing and have them see the results of my actions.
Mm-hmm.
They're at a young age still. I think young enough that they're not exactly hearing it all, but they understand it and they store it away. So it's important to get them involved. That's what I'm trying to do.
No, that makes sense.
That's it.
That's it. Still uncharted territory.
It's uncharted. Not fully. In buying the additional condo, my son in particular, I was able to, tell him ahead of time what was going to happen.
Mm-hmm.
Tell him how it was going to happen, and have him witness it come to fruition. And it's so I was able to have him experience the thought process as well.
And then they just seeing you walk the walk.
Yes.
That's the most important thing, because you can tell them whatever, but them seeing you do it and then seeing how probably I would think that your attitude has changed over the time from, hey, Dad was stressed because he had debt, and yeah, we had some nice things, but there was always this underlying stress, and now, it's like a weight is lifted off of his shoulders, and he's getting excited about things, which we want our children to see us getting excited about things, because then they feel like they can do the same.
Exactly.
So you did say that you still use debt.
Absolutely.
What is a manner? Now, I do want to say first off that just like any sort of thing, when you're trying to get out of debt and you're so used to using it, it's, for me, best to cut it off completely, and then once you have control over yourself and your patterns of behavior, then you can use it strategically.
Yes.
So James, how do you strategically use debt?
Well, you have the situation where you have cash and the opportunity to, say, use a credit card. Well, you can take that cash and you can spend it, or you can keep it in reserve and use the credit card to accomplish the things you need to do. As long as they're within reason and you have the money to cover the debt that you're creating. You don't want to stay in the cycle of just creating the debt and not paying it right away. And so it also offers the opportunity for you to save. You know, you put the cash to the side and use that credit to, be a consumer in a sense. I think the best thing is, they say the rich use money or use credit to buy the things they want. Because they have the cash and they use that cash to reinvest.
Mm-hmm.
That's going to make them even more money. That's going to cover the debt that they already knew that they could take care of, that they could remedy.
Mm-hmm. That's actually something that I am really, it's like that whole opportunity thing, I'm really trying to wrap my head around. Once the mortgage is paid off, what to do then?
Yes.
Sell and get that money liquid to reinvest. Maybe take out half the money to reinvest. Maybe save on top of that, like what you're doing,
Yes.
and then buy a second property. I mean, like there's so many opportunities that you're not exactly sure what to do. Like you said, more research, looking into it more.
Yes.
So,
For myself in that situation, people, I think, go out and recreate that debt in a large sense or do lavish things. My suggestion personally would be, if you have the opportunity to take out that money, consider whether you can buy multiple properties with the money that you take out. Don't take it out to buy something large that's not going to, pay you back quickly, or you need one family to, say, rent a large house and it may be hard for them to rent it. So personally, I'll take that money and put it in 5 places, have 5 families that can afford a cheaper mortgage, and I have a higher likelihood of them all being able to pay the money back.
mm-hmm.
That's my personal idea about that.
To pay the rent?
Well, to pay the rent if you're
Yeah.
buying homes,
Mm-hmm.
as opposed to one large place where it won't all come, where all the money comes from one source, multiple income streams.
James and I both believe in real estate.
Real estate.
So kind of, that's how, if you look historically, that's how all of the wealthy people make their money, is off of real estate. And I was talking to my son about this, and he said, yeah, Mom, but then doesn't it crash sometimes? And I said, it goes down, but it comes back up, because it's an actual, tangible thing that we can put our hands in. People are always going to need a place to live, no matter what. If they can't afford a mortgage and you are giving that service of rent, you can rent from me while you are getting out of debt. You're supposed to rent the cheapest place possible for your income. Take all of your extra money, pay off your debt, save so that you can put down not a 3%, not a 3.5%, but at least a 20% down on a modest home that is basically the basics of what you need in a nice area that will hold its value, so that when you go to resell, or if you rent that property out, then you're going to get quality renters, and then you could buy another property and move over there if you wanted to upgrade, or you could stay in the smaller property. And there's just so many possibilities.
You just touched on my own personal experience in a sense. You mind if I go into that?
Please.
Okay, so when I started the journey to being debt-free, I didn't know that's where I was headed, by the way. I just was overwhelmed with my situation, the amount of debt that I had, and again, the cash flow of the situation. So I thought I'd get smart. I was in a 2-bedroom, 2-bath apartment. I moved from there to a studio apartment, slept on bunk beds with my kids, and that really freed up so much money. And that's when I began to snowball my debt. The exact thing you're talking about. I paid off all my debt. I let out a big whelp, And then I made a mistake. I went and bought a huge house.
Oh.
I went and bought a huge house, and everything was fine. I could afford the house and the bills and everything that comes along with it. Speaking of market crashes, it did.
Mm.
And at that point for me, it was a matter of, was it an earthly matter or a heavenly matter? And I went back and forth with that. I got my house appraised, and when I owed well over $200,000 on it, and the value of the house came back at $60,000.
Wow.
And I said, that's an earthly matter. So I relieved myself of that situation,
Mm-hmm.
and that's when I went and bought my first place.
Oh,
Cash.
yeah.
And I was very particular in my search. I needed a one-car garage, and I needed to be less than 1 year's worth of mortgage.
Okay.
And that's how I found my place.
And you're still there.
I'm still there.
Okay. Then it's worked.
I'm still there, but now I've got 2 properties, and I have a plan in mind to move on to the 3rd.
Which is a key lesson here too, because I think so many people get emotionally attached to real estate and to everything actually. Everything is temporary in a way, and so I've told myself this because I also experienced a crash, to never, after losing that house and prior to that having the opportunity to sell it and make a large sum of money, to never get emotionally attached to real estate again. Which, even when you buy a place, the place that I'm in right now, I love it. But I have to keep telling myself, when you look at the goals so far out, what do you really want? Is it this particular house with, everything that's making my family comfortable? Or is it the bigger picture of what I really want for them? And so, don't get attached to real estate.
Don't get comfortable.
Yeah, in life in general, don't get comfortable.
Right.
Let's see here. So, what does the future look like for James Cherry?
I'm not pinpointed on one particular thing in the future, but it's bright and it's wide open, and I'm excited to experience it. What I do know is, tomorrow I won't be a slave to debt.
Mm-hmm.
It opens up so much possibility, so many possibilities. It's such an ease on your mind. You are able to walk through life with your head up, with a smile. Your entire presence changes. Your energy changes. When you walk into a situation where you're uncertain, you're not quite as fearful. You're able to take more risk.
What about the people that you align yourself with now? Speaking of that energy, because I know we hit it off, and I actually thought it was intimidating at first when you said that you were out of debt. I mean, that is intimidating for somebody that's in debt, even though we're peers and everything. Is just, wow, this gentleman has accomplished a lot.
It's funny because, I have a friend that has a similar income as mine, and he wants his wife to take that step with him to be out of debt. And he understands exactly what I went through because we discussed it along the way. I really didn't change the people that were around me.
Okay.
It just brought new people in.
Yes.
That's it.
Mm-hmm.
You don't have to change your environment as far as the people you're around. Hopefully you have good friends and good family and people that are willing to hear you out. Not everybody has to align their ideas with you, but it's great when someone disagrees so you can see why and maybe understand that you're on the right path. And then when they see you accomplish those things that you wish to do, that you discussed with them, maybe they turn around and come and ask you for advice.
Mm-hmm. Once they get the courage to.
Once they get the courage to. Absolutely.
Mm-hmm.
And it's not also just about that I'm out of debt. You have to ask how and why. The same as now. What was the process? How'd you achieve it? I went small. If you must know, I went small. I'm a huge advocate of the tiny house movement. I didn't go to a house, but I went small. I went from over 2,000 square feet to just under 600.
Wow, that is.
But it's so astronomical the gains that I have achieved out of it. Don't align yourself with the world and the way the world thinks. Think about, what your long-term goals is, just as you said, and just aim for them.
Mhm.
That's it.
Believing that you can do it.
Yes.
Because if you don't believe that you can do it, you won't get anywhere.
That's right. That's right. And don't be afraid to fail. It happens. It's a grand part of life. When you took your first step as a baby, you fell. And with no thought at all, you got up and walked again.
Mhm.
And that's it. We have to remember to get up and keep walking.
Amen. That's true.
That's it.
So why did you come here today?
Why did I come here today?
And what did you want people to take away?
That you can do it. That you can do it. That you can achieve what you want to. We were definitely under I won't say under, but at the poverty line. And, all my brothers and sisters are doing well. There's a family of 6 of us. We're all, within poverty. And we're all out. We're all out and we're doing well. So coming from a humble beginning that way, we all somehow found our way to another place and another level in life. So don't think that you can't because of where you are and how. Just find someone to mentor you, or just find someone and mimic them that you see are doing things successfully. Without the lavish things that are used to just impress the people around you right now.
And I have to do a little plug here, because everything that we discuss on Rethinking Life goes back to the book that I wrote. It's called Rethinking Life, the guidebook for recreating your life and winning the game. This book outlines the principles to the debt-free lifestyle so that it's not a mystery anymore. You can go, I'll have a link at the bottom if you're watching on YouTube. I'll have a link at the bottom. You can go to the website, pick it up. This book is here for you to help you on your journey accomplish the things that you need to put yourself in a good position and really win. These are the principles that I feel like the wealthy have used and that haven't always been available to everyone, and they are here. There are so many other resources out there. I have a blog that has tons of free information. That's also going to be in the link, but if you don't feel like you can afford the book, that's fine. I have so much free information out there for you that you can do it. James, you want to play a little game? Just a little word game.
I'm being put on the spot here. Let's play a game. Let's play a word game.
All right. So give me one word or your first thought. I'll give you the word, and then you give me your thought. Okay? Job.
Something we must all be a part of and experience, but not the last step in the process of life.
Perfect. Debt freedom.
Freedom from the shackles.
Yes. Money.
A catalyst, but you're in control of what it's a catalyst to.
Okay. Debt.
The new slavery.
Yes, it is. Failure.
An opportunity to learn and to learn yourself.
And then the last one, opportunity.
Opportunity. Your ability, it's there, they're everywhere. You just have to see it. Be open to it. Open your mind.
That's beautiful. What's your mission?
Right now, I'm trying to, my long-term goal is to try to navigate myself into a generational wealth situation. I don't know how huge it'll be. I actually don't know the exact process that it will take, but whatever I can amass as far as real estate goes, I hope to be able to leave it, and leave it in a way that not one person can come and take it, that there's no opportunity to bicker and fight about it, and just hopefully leave it so that the people around me can add to it
Mm-hmm.
and start creating that. I mean, it starts with a small thing. I think they say most people get their generational wealth from an ancestor that prepared, and more than likely from an insurance settlement.
Really?
That's what I believe.
Maybe. Now, I am in the works of writing my second book right now, and I wanted people to really understand the impact that you, one person with children, has. And I was doing a calculation, I think within 5 generations, just me, with everyone using just the averages of the amount of children born, will be impacting in just a few generations, like almost 300 people.
Wow.
And that's just me. That's not
Wow.
counting you. So everything you're doing today matters. Whether if you're just wasting your day sitting on the couch watching TV, or you're reading a book that's going to make people's lives better, you impact the world and you impact your family. And that is a great responsibility for every one of us that has brought children to this earth.
That's correct. I'd agree with that.
Are there any last thoughts that you'd like to share?
Absolutely. Don't give up.
Don't give up.
Wait, before you give up, take the first step, and then don't give up. Don't be afraid to take the step. And if you're young, fail. Get out there, experience life, fail. Learn who you are. In your primary working years, it's not so important for you to have the best job, but to have the experiences and learn what you're passionate about. Because if you're working for something that you're passionate about, you're more likely to succeed at it. And that in itself may provide the opportunity for you to wind up in a debt-free situation.
And might I add that even no matter what age you're at, if you're 50, 60, some people when they're 40 give up. No matter what age you're at, with the average life expectancy, which can be higher if you're taking care of yourself health-wise, 20 years is a lifetime.
Yes.
A lot can happen in 20 years. A lot can happen in 30, 40 years. If you're 40, you're not even halfway there. And you've only really been living your life for 20 years anyway.
Yes.
So time is on our side, no matter how it's perceived that it's not. Because it is.
It is. Oh, multiple income streams.
Yes.
Attain them if you can.
Yes.
I think that's it.
I think so too. Strategic player right here, James Cherry. I want every one of you to be in this chair someday. All right? Rethinking Life brings you someone generous enough with their time and someone who's actually doing it, living their best life, and providing value. James, thank you for being here.
Thank you for having me.
Absolutely.
It's been a pleasure.